everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Adam Rothschild, and today we're joined by men's basketball head coach Frank Marcinek. Coach, thanks for joining us today.
Great to be here, Adam.
So this past season saw you guys get to the second round of the Landmark Conference playoffs, and a lot of excellent performances all across the board. But after falling short in the second round and what your team was capable of doing this year, what did you see out of the team this year, and what did you enjoy the most, do you think?
Yeah, Adam, we just didn't develop the level of consistency that we needed. Over the last 10, 12 years, our program has been as good as any in the Middle Atlantic region, and we fell a little bit short, as you said, this year. And, we won 15 games, which is good, not great. But there were a handful of games that were there for the taking that we just didn't finish. We lost the game early at Moravian where we led by 23 and let that lead get away. We lost the non-conference game to Maryville, which was a very good team, but kind of led and, again, let them steal it from us at the end. The same happened with Arcadia and Delaware Valley, and we lost the game at Scranton. And, you're not going to win all those 50-50 games, but they're games we're used to winning. Put those 5 in the win column off the loss column, I'd say we had a really good year. But our consistency was probably our biggest challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the one thing when you look at with this team and how you developed them this year, I think the one thing to look at was the first years, of course, and Luke Fryer being one of them. What did you notice about his performance this year? Of course, him stepping up into that role off the bench. How do you think he's going to develop over these next few seasons?
Well, we thought we needed help at the point guard position. Jackson Van Wagner has kind of been manning the position a little bit on some bad wheels. We recruited Luke to come in and compete with A.J. Lomax for time. We thought Luke did a really good job in the preseason. We went with him. He's a little bit different from Jackson in that he's a kid that can get into the defense, make plays for others while still scoring it himself, but he's a little bit undersized physically. But he kind of, as is true for most freshmen, I thought he had an okay start and then went down a little bit. And then come January, I thought he picked his game back up and therefore played more over the last 12, 14 games of the year. So we have high hopes for him. He's a point guard that can score. We need him to become a little bit more of a setup guy, know how to find shooters, know how to find our post guys. But all in all, I was very happy with Luke's play. If you'd ask Luke was not happy with his play. He did not think he had a particularly good year. And as a coach, I guess that's what you like, is when your players might be harder on themselves than you are on them.
Yeah, especially the motivation that they want to have to do better and keep progressing season after season.
Mm-hmm.
And now with us being in the off season, with you obviously being in the point where it's time to recruit players for next season, what is something you look for in a player? Like, what are certain attributes that you see in a player?
Yeah, first we want a guy who's a great teammate. I think our culture is a championship level culture. We can't let that slip. We need to be a little bit more athletic, a little bit more dynamic right now. Some of the teams we had problems with were just a little bit quicker than us, particularly in the backcourt. And I didn't feel like we did a particularly good job of guarding in our man-to-man defense. Therefore, we had to play a lot of zone. So we're looking for some guys that can guard, looking for some guys that can make their own play. Because as you look down, coming down the stretch, if you look at the last 10 games of the year, you run offense, but 9 times out of 10 at this level, teams guard your offense. And it's like, what can you do? What's the play after the play? Who can go and make something happen? And we didn't quite have that in our backcourt this year as much as we need to. So that's a focus. We lose a lot of size next year. So our senior class next year, with Audric Washington, Billy Anderson, Amizia Guano, and Brandon Lavitt, we lose 4 post players next year. So we're trying to bring in a little bit of size this year to ease the transition. So a little bit more dynamic in the backcourt is what we're looking for, and also to recruit 1 or 2 post players.
And after this season now, you've lost 2 seniors, being Marcus Mitchell and Luke Edwards. So over their seasons here, what have you noticed about some of the things that they were able to do to help the team?
Marcus and Luke, and we're going to lose another one in Stephen Wrestler. So Stephen had an extra year, but he's going to graduate, and it's kind of expensive to come back just to play basketball. So we lost 3. Marcus had a terrific career. I think he would be the first to admit he wasn't happy with the way his senior year went, but he was second team all-conference as a junior, was one of those guys that could get to the basket, was dynamic, and was a great teammate. When you go from being in the rotation, being a starter, to going out of rotation, that's hard. and he and Luke Edwards both handled it exceptionally well. And they both played some for us down the stretch. I don't think anywhere near as much as they would have, but needless to say, they were great teammates, great leaders. And Steven Ressler had a really good 3 years here, missed his sophomore year because of a lower leg injury. Had a really good junior year where he was all conference, and probably took a step back his senior year from where he had hoped to be.
And you mentioned the seniors before as well. So with them graduating next season, what's the preparation going to be for guys like Brandon Lavitt and Amizi Igano and other guys like that that are going to be graduating after next season?
So again, we're trying to bring in some size next year to kind of serve a little bit of an apprenticeship under those guys, and that's something that we're still working on. But Brandon, Amizi, Audric, and Billy, for us to have 4 guys like that in one class, it's kind of a blessing. While on the same hand, it's a little bit of a curse, and you're going to lose them all at one time. It would be great if we had 2 of them that were going to be seniors, 2 of them that were going to be juniors, but we kind of hit the mother load, so to speak, in that recruiting class, getting 4 guys that all had some size.
So now, with this was your 36th season as the head coach of the Riverhawks. There's been a lot of fun, a lot of excitement, landmark conference championships, NCAA appearances. Did you imagine what all of this would amount to in 36 seasons coaching?
Well, I think you always expect the best, but prepare for the worst. And I've been very fortunate to have a real committed, consistent staff, and have been able to recruit players that really put the team first. We got to have guys that are we guys, not me guys, and that's been the case. And I probably mid 2010s is when we really got cooking. We had a school record for most consecutive wins. In 2016, we won 15 straight and went on to win 24 games and got to the NCAA tournament. That team won 23 games. The next team won 24 games, got to the Sweet 16, and then we kind of had it rolling from there. COVID hit, and just as it hurt most people, it hurt us because we didn't have a season, could not recruit off campus, and that made it a little bit more difficult. And on top of that, what made it a little bit more difficult is we don't have many master's programs here at Susquehanna. So a lot of schools we were playing were bringing back guys for their 5th year, and we were playing 5th years with first years, and that's quite a challenge. And so we took a little bit of a step back because of that, but that's kind of history right now, and I'm really hopeful we get back to playing for and winning conference championships, and again, being in the NCAA tournament.
And of course, with that being your goal, we can't wait to see what happens next season. So best of luck this offseason with the recruitment, and we'll see you next season.
Sounds good. Thank you, Adam.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Adam Rothschild, and thanks for watching another episode of the Coach's Corner.